Good afternoon. How are you? Well, it's a scorcher here. It's 90 degrees, and I don't think I'm going to break into a run. Uh, and it's pretty still, very slight breeze. So the heat has come, and tomorrow it's going to rain and be it's going to be a lot cooler. It's going to be 89 degrees, or at least that's what the weatherman says. Holly got out today and walked around slowly in the heat, but she got to act normal. And so she takes all these pills and everything, but she's a trooper and she's working it through. So I'm very excited about that. A long time ago, before Trump ran for president, Holly and I went to Russia. And in order to go to Russia, you had to be invited to every place you stayed. Now, there's a formality for this. You do it through a Russian embassy. And I used the one in Texas because the one in D.C. was too busy. And what you are is you're invited to stay at a hotel or pension or whatever you want to call it. And by that fact, they monitor your progress through Russia. And some friends of mine asked me if I was tailed while I was there. And I was in St. Petersburg and took a train to Moscow. And so I got a good sense of it. And but the train ride told you as much or more about Russia because you could see the poverty off the tracks as you went through these areas of Russia. And while we were there, we saw this military demonstration in St. Petersburg, and it was very impressive, scary indeed. Many years before that, when I did Europe, I was in Paris when they put on a similar display with planes flying overhead, huge military equipment rumbling through the streets, in fact, actually compromising the streets in Paris. And there were nuclear weapons lined up on the streets in St. Petersburg waiting to get into the line for the demonstration. So I say that because Russia is now banning Americans from going there. Not all Americans, but I think there's a list, and the list consists of a fair number of them, and I presume they were chosen because they do business in Russia. I don't know that, but I'm sure in the days ahead that'll all be clarified. Now you know that Finland and Sweden have asked to be admitted to NATO because they're close enough and concerned enough about Russia that they want to be protected on the other side of the coin. Now NATO is willing to do this, but there's been an objection which probably will only delay their admission, and the objection has been by Turkey. So Russia, in addition, is talking about withholding certain energy requirements. It's going to stop the gas it supplies to Finland to discourage them from going into to NATO. So you can see the forces that are at issue here. Meantime, the Russian soldier who is going to be tried has entered a plea and an apology for what he did. I don't know where that's going to go. But here you have a prosecution during an ongoing war of a Russian soldier who did wrong to Ukrainians, and we still haven't figured out how to prosecute those people who tried to overthrow our government. It's quite ridiculous, isn't it? We have a situation in recent days in which, and it's not a surprise, Ginny Thomas, who is the spouse of Associate Justice Thomas, has been shown to have been very active in trying to encourage an overthrow of the government, basically. And it's very interesting to track some of the personnel, and I won't go through all of it because it's almost Byzantine. But the former law clerk, John Newman, who worked for Associate Justice Thomas, he's the one who drew up the program for how to overturn the election. Isn't that ironic? And Rudy Giuliani introduced him when they had the demonstrations, and Ginny went to those demonstrations. And when before the Supreme Court came the question, what do we do about these documents? Well, 8 of the Supreme Court justices said they should be tendered to the January 6th Insurrection Committee, and only 1 dissented, and it's the one, in my opinion, who had a conflict, and that was Associate Justice Thomas. Why people are not asking for him to explain himself or even to consider impeachment. Many years ago, and I've said this before, I think, Associate Justice Bill Douglas was scrutinized by the Republicans, and there were several efforts to impeach him, and it had to do with his opinions. But this is a different kind of conduct. This is not a legitimate opinion that is different than, say, the Republican leadership. This is about a man who is acting like a hack instead of a justice. And finally, the prices we pay for having religion interfere in our civic responsibilities. The Constitution, as you know, is a civil document, meaning it does not invoke any religion and may not, in part because of the First Amendment, which is opposed to any establishment of religion. It respects the right of religious practice, but does not allow the government to establish it. Well, aside from that, apparently they want to prevent the devout Catholic, Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, from receiving communion, which is an interesting idea. I don't think the church has said they're concerned about those who practice predatory behavior on minors, denying them communion. In fact, they salt them away somewhere. Yes, I realize what I'm saying about the Catholic Church, but this kind of hypocrisy, whether it's the church or the Republicans on the Hill or whatever, should not be tolerated. It should be called out, and they should be asked to answer to it. And if we were faithful to the scripture in the Roman Catholic Church, we'd say, take the sty out of your own eye before blaming someone else, or let he who is without blame cast the first stone. And there have been efforts to do this before with Biden, and the Holy Roman See, SEE, has opposed those kinds of things. So there we are. In the meantime, I'm in the only cathedral that matters to me, the Cathedral of Trees, that I get to walk in even at 90-degree heat. And soon, I hope, Holly will come out, although she never has been interested in walking the roads the way I do, but she might want to walk one among the cliffs. So have a good day today. Be careful in the heat, and I'll talk to you tomorrow if it's not raining the whole day. Bye-bye.